We recently sailed on the new Carnival Jubilee, and one thing we were really excited for is the huge variety of restaurants included in the cruise fare. Now you're going to want to stick around to find out which one was our favorite, is the Carnival chocolate melting cake still my favorite dessert, and what surprised us the most. Ahoy travelers, it's Amy here to help you make your travel experience a success and give you some insight into all the foods available to you on Carnival's newest ship. I've always loved how Carnival ships have multiple places to pick up a quick meal without having to go in to a sit-down restaurant. Because sometimes you don't want to sit down for an hour and you prefer grabbing a quick bite instead. While almost every cruise line out there has a place to pick up a slice or two of pizza, finding another place to grab a quick bite outside of the buffet isn't always possible. Now, most people are aware of Guy's Burgers, even those who sail on other lines, and how popular this burger place really is. And for good reason. I love Guy's, but places like the Blue Iguana Cantina, where you can get Mexican food along with sandwich shops, and Guy's Pig and Anchor, where guests can grab some southern barbecue, may be less well known for those who haven't been on a Carnival ship. For those who've been on Carnival's new XL class ships, there are even more of these quick eat options. And you're going to want to stick around because we're going to take a look at all of them. We have 7 days to go through, so let's start out with day 1. Now, for many Carnival cruisers, grabbing a Guy's Burger shortly after getting on board is a tradition. For us, we head on over to the Blue Iguana for a burrito bowl. It's a lot less crowded than Guy's, especially on that first day, and it allows us to grab something to eat quicker so we can sit and relax after all the stress of embarkation. Now, the Blue Iguana Cantina used to offer a taco salad with the fried shell and everything, although it wasn't on the menu, but you could ask for one. Now they just have bowls that you can have filled. It's a little bit of a downgrade, but they do have quite a few things to choose from to put in those bowls. They also serve breakfast burritos there in the mornings, if that's your jam. If you book a cruise on the Jubilee during its inaugural season, you get into some of the specialty dining areas for free, or included, however you want to look at that. ChiBang's, Cucina del Capitano, and Guy's Pig and Anchor Smokehouse are all available as a choice for your evening meals without limit and without the extra cost. So of course, we had to try these out as well. As with the main dining restaurant, if you have your time dining, you will need to go into the Hub app to check in. You can choose who all in your party are wanting a reservation, then the app will send you notifications so you'll know when your table is ready. Now, Mom and I like to head to a nearby bar, check in, and wait for our table while we have a pre-dinner cocktail. On embarkation night, we decided to head to ChiBang's. I was really excited for this restaurant that combines two of my most favorite types of food, Chinese and Mexican. Normally, guests get one free entrance or included entrance into ChiBang's for dinner, with subsequent visits being just $8. Not bad. But for now, those on the Jubilee can visit as many times as they want without paying an extra fee. This was our first time visiting ChiBang's, and we weren't sure what the procedure was, so I asked the waiter if we just got one appetizer and a main, or two, and he said one, but that we could order from either menu. Now, this actually turned out to be untrue, and the confusion possibly was due to a language barrier, as his comprehension of English wasn't quite as strong as most waiters that I've dealt with in the past. We quickly noticed that the people around us were getting two apps, often two mains as well, but that wasn't until after we'd already ordered. And I do wish I would have known, because despite there basically being two menus, there wasn't a lot on there that I was sure that I would like, and would have preferred ordering two different apps and mains so I could have had a better chance of getting something that I liked. And I guess I'm fairly picky when it comes to food. I didn't really think I was, but there are definitely things I just don't like. A lot of it revolves around meat and how it's prepared. I don't like meat on the bone. I don't like skin on my meat. I don't like chewing on fat or gristle. The list goes on. Basically, I prefer chicken or turkey, white meat only, and ground or shredded beef. And if it wasn't for how much I love a good burger, I could probably be a vegetarian, or at least a pescatarian. I could do that. Anyway, while the Chinese side had multiple items I thought I would like, I really wasn't in the mood for Chinese. I wanted Mexican. And I should have just gone with the Chinese, though, like my mom did. For our apps, Mom went with the Mandarin Crunch Salad, which she said was very good and she would definitely get again. I chose the queso fundido. It was okay, but it needed salt to bring out that flavor, and there really wasn't a whole lot of meat in it. I didn't hate it, but I wouldn't get it again. When it came to the main dishes, the ones that looked the best to me were labeled as 2 peppers hot, spicy. Now, I didn't know what that means for this restaurant so I didn't know how hot that would be. So I chickened out and I chose something else. That probably would have been fine, as I do like hot stuff. I just don't want it so hot that you can't taste anything. It's just hot. So I went with the pork lomito. I asked how the pork was served because I'm thinking if it's, like shredded or something like that, that would be fine. And he said it was a very thin slice. Well, what I got wasn't what I would call thin sliced pork, but of course that's a subjective term. Even though I wouldn't have chosen a pork steak like this, I'm not opposed to eating it, but this was overcooked and under-seasoned, and so I only ate one bite. Wasn't going to eat something that I didn't like. The waiter did offer to go get me something else when he noticed that I didn't eat it, but I didn't want to wait for another dish. As a side, I got the frijoles, which also were under-seasoned and tasted too much of tomatoes. Now, I've never had beans like that with tomatoes in them, and there was nothing in the menu that said that there were going to be tomatoes in them. So I found that was odd, but something you should know. Mom got the beef and broccoli, which she said was very good, and she would get it again. She got the noodles as a side and said they were just okay. I tried a bite of them and I agree. They were fine. Dessert was where things switched for us. I went with the coconut tea tres leches, and it was very good. Definitely the best thing I had all night. Mom had the chocolate ChiBang and said it was a little dry. There were so many other options for our evening meal that we didn't go back to ChiBang's, but if I do go back on another cruise, I would try out some of the Chinese food and go ahead and get those spicy dishes that I was too afraid to try out this last time. Overall, we both decided that this is not a restaurant we would pay extra to eat at, as there just isn't a lot to choose from on the menu. For me, I felt the menu lacked some classic items that I would have expected from either type of restaurant. I would have loved some fish tacos. Many cruisers do love this restaurant, so check out the menu, see if you think that there's anything on there that you would like. They also offer a different lunch menu that's always included, but we never made it there for lunch. I did think their lunch menu looked intriguing, so I hope to try it out sometime in the future. So day 2 was our first sea day, so we made sure to hit up the SeaDay Brunch. I love that Carnival offers this, and it's a nice, relaxing way to grab something to eat in the morning, especially since I don't like to eat until I've been up for a couple hours. Carnival has had this menu for a while, and I honestly preferred the previous menu that they had for SeaDay Brunch, but there are still plenty of good things to choose from that even I like. They even have burgers and fried chicken. So if you're eating later, maybe you're eating it for lunch. People do go to SeaDay Brunch and they go later and eat their lunch. Now, I love bagels and cream cheese, but I'd never tried a bagel with lox. And a cruise ship is a great place to try out new foods. I really liked it and found it to have a very fresh taste. The only downside was that it just came with 5 capers, so there were only enough for a few bites. So if you're looking for those capers that it says it has, you're not getting many. More of a garnish. Mom and I also ordered the cheese grits, we always do, and add in some Tabasco sauce for some heat for that. Mom usually gets a muffin, and they had orange blossom muffins, which she said was moist and tastes like oranges, as it should. They did bring her bacon when she ordered sausage, but it looked nice and crispy, so at least it was good bacon. For lunch, we decided to try out Shaq's Big Chicken. Now, this was our first time trying out this quick eat restaurant, and it is definitely popular, but it didn't take long to get through the line. I had the Big Aristotle, but subbed out the Memphis barbecue sauce for some Shaq sauce and buffalo sauce, as the only barbecue sauce that I like is Carolina sauce. I'm not into the typical barbecue sauce, which to me is just basically ketchup and brown sugar. I don't care for it. I also added some jalapeno slaw, and it was really good. I got fries and some potato salad, which was also very good. Mom got the chicken strips and fries. My only suggestion for Carnival would be that they need larger dishes. The square bowl that they use barely had room for the chicken sandwich itself, let alone any of the sides. We ended up taking our food back to the Lido to watch the Chiefs play the Ravens on the big screen. Now, I'm not a big NFL fan, but Mom's a big Chiefs fan, and it was fun watching the game with her. For dinner that night, we headed off to the MDR for the first elegant night, which for us was the Pacific restaurant. And then we had a nice waiter named Mayang that had been working for Carnival for 20 years. I had the escargot, which wasn't as good as usual. I don't know what the deal was with the restaurants on the Jubilee, but I just felt like almost everything lacked seasoning or at least needed some salt. And I started wondering if it was me after a while, because literally almost everything felt like it needed salt. I had the linguine alfredo, which was very good. Mom had the Moroccan lentil soup, which she said was good, and the roasted chicken, which she deemed very good. We both had the chocolate melting cake, and it was perfection. Nice and gooey on the inside like it's supposed to be. This wasn't the first time that we've had this newer Carnival menu, and I spend more time on going over it in my Vista video. On our second sea day, we chose to hit up the Pig and Anchor for lunch. I've never actually tried this out before, even though I've been on ships with this restaurant. Like I said, not huge on barbecue, but the bigger reason is that on smaller ships where the Pig and Anchor is one of only a handful of quick eating options, the lines are always crazy long. On the Jubilee, we just walked right up and got our food without having to wait in much of a line at all, like one or two people in front of us. They served us our food, but Mom missed out on getting a bun to turn hers into a sandwich. This was probably because, despite the fact that the buns were sitting in a bowl at the very beginning of the line, the lady that was there to serve everybody didn't ask if you wanted one. She was down the line waiting to serve you meat, but you had to ask for the bun because she still had to serve it to you. I saw them, I asked for one, and had to end up going back when I realized it was only half a bun and I needed the other half to make a sandwich. No big deal. The good thing about the Pig and Anchor is that they have a variety of sauces, including Carolina sauce, my fave. My pork butt was good, but temperature-wise, it wasn't hot enough. By the time we got our food, sat down, it was almost cold. The mac and cheese was really good with this smoky flavor to it. The potato salad was just basic potato salad, good, nothing special. I would go back as long as I didn't have to wait in a long line. But I can see how those who really like barbecue would line up for it, especially that mac and cheese. After checking out on the Hub app to see what was on the menu at the MDR and seeing there wasn't really anything we cared if we missed or not, we decided to check out Cucina del Capitano for dinner. Now, this is normally $24 per adult and $11 for kid, but as I said before, it's currently included on the Jubilee during this inaugural season. We had a great time and met this nice lady who had basically worked her way up from gold to diamond just since the restart of cruising. Mom and I are still curious how she was affording all those cruises. My guess is the casino, but maybe she won the lottery. Who knows? I'm a bigger fan of Italian food than Mom, but I think we both enjoyed our meal. For our apps, I had the Fritto Misto because, of course, I did. I love fried shrimp and calamari. The calamari was a little on the chewy side, but overall, it was very good. Mom had the rucola cracked farro salad, which she enjoyed. For our entree, I chose the panceri patate cose. I'm just making these up. I don't know if I'm pronouncing them right. But the menu said it's a recipe from the captain's wife. This was spicy. There was nothing in the description which said that it was going to be spicy. No little pepper next to it. So I wonder if some people were turned off by that. I would hate for somebody to order something not knowing it was spicy and then get it and it's really got a lot of heat to it. Now, for once though, this was a dish that had plenty of flavor. Mom had the veal marsala, which she liked. Mom and I both chose the lemon tort for dessert. I got tickled as they brought it out because it looked like a stick of butter, but it was good. I was a little surprised by it though, since I was expecting more poppy seed cake than the small sliver at the bottom. Mostly it was just like lemon ice cream. Like I said, I do like Italian food, but I think this menu has a nice variety of options to choose from. Would I pay an additional $24 to eat there? Probably not. But that's because I'm perfectly happy with the food I already paid for that's available in the main dining room. Now, our first port day meant grabbing a coffee and a quick bite to eat at the Java Blue Bakery for breakfast. We headed out for the morning to enjoy some time in Roatan. We've been there multiple times, so once we finished holding sloths and checking out the reef in a glass-bottom boat, we headed back to the ship for lunch at Guy's Burgers. I was surprised at how long the line was, considering we were at port. Really thought it would be not as crowded there. We'd actually swung by Beach Buns first, but the line there was really long. So we thought we'd go check out Guys, and we decided, even though the line was long, to stick with that because they're pretty fast doling out those burgers and fries. And the line did go fairly quickly. Now, I'm a pig patty girl. I always love that crispy bacon on my burger. But what is your go-to Guys burger? The seating around Guys was full, so we headed into the buffet to find a spot out of the sun, and there was plenty of seating in there. While we rarely eat food from the buffet, we both commented on how we really liked the seating in the buffet on the Jubilee and how it was broken up into smaller areas to eat instead of just one huge open area. There are also seating areas with more windows, letting in a lot more light than you find on some of the older Carnival ships. It always feels dark in the buffet to me on Carnival ships. For dinner that night, we headed back to the Pig and Anchor to try out their evening smokehouse menu. While lunch is served outside, the inside becomes a sit-down restaurant in the evening. Now, usually it is an extra cost, but I'm not sure how much it is. I couldn't find that information out on Carnival's website, but it was included in our Jubilee sailing. After being seated, you're going to be given a piece of paper to mark off which items you'd like to eat, and a waiter will come around then to get that and any bar order or specialties that you may like as well. Now, I went with the Pig and Anchor Melt as it had bacon and donkey sauce. Plus, I added some Carolina sauce to that. It was good and had a sweetness to it. I had the Carolina coleslaw as a side, and boy, did it have a kick to it. It was really good, but I didn't eat much because I already had some residual heartburn from all the heat I had had the night before, and I didn't want it getting any worse. The menu doesn't warn you that there are jalapenos in the slaw, so I'm going to warn you, there are jalapenos in that slaw. If you can't handle heat, you may want to skip the slaw. The Mac Daddy mac and cheese was basically the same mac and cheese that they serve at lunch, but baked in these individual bowls. It was good. Mom had the beef brisket, which she said had a smoky flavor and was very tender. For her side, she also went with a slaw as well as getting the barbecue beans, which she gave a 7 or 8 out of 10, but she said they were served lukewarm. Now for dessert, I went with the Mississippi mud pie, and Mom had the apple cobbler. Mom said her cobbler was hot, but could have used some ice cream to really make that dessert sing. I have never had Mississippi mud pie before, so I don't know how this stacks up to your grandma's version, but this was probably the best dessert I have ever had on a Carnival ship. I will now be looking for this recipe so I can make this at home. What's the best dessert you've ever had on a cruise ship? I was surprised that this beat out Carnival's chocolate melting cake for me. Day 5 brought us to Costa Maya, and we were headed to the beach for the day. So that meant another round of coffee and pastries from Java Blue. We had a great lunch at the beach resort, which I'll make a video on later. So we only ate dinner on the ship, and we did so in the MDR. I had the stuffed mushrooms as an appetizer, which were very flavorful, but I did have to add that salt. Then I had the linguine and clams for my entree. The tomato sauce was a little sweet for my taste, and there were only 5 little tiny clams in there. So it was mostly linguine and sauce, just so you're aware. I stuck with the chocolate melting cake since it was so good on the Jubilee. I've had it previous cruises that was not this gooey deliciousness. On the Vista, it was not. So I was so excited to find that again on the Jubilee. Mom had the poblano and corn, which she said had a little heat, but was really good. Then she chose the pepper steak for her entree. We were a little surprised at the cheese straws, which turned out to be frozen crinkle cut fries with some cheese melted on them. I don't know if they were a last minute substitution or what, because in no way would I have ever called these cheese straws. Despite that, Mom said the steak was tender, and for dessert, she had the pear almond cake, which is a no sugar added dessert. She said it was moist and sweet enough for her taste. Day 6 brought about another port day, this time the popular Cozumel. Is it popular because people love it, or because every Western Caribbean cruise stops there? Since we have been there multiple times, we did not plan anything. We just got off the ship for about an hour and walked around the port area. This meant we were on the ship for the majority of the day. Prior to heading off the ship, we had headed down to the Java Blue Cafe for coffee and pastries again. The seating around Grand Central is a great place to relax in the mornings and enjoy your coffee. I did this multiple days. Well, we finally made it to Beach Buns for lunch. We got in line around 10 to 15 minutes before it opened, and there were already 5 people in front of us. By the time noon came around, the line probably had 30 plus people in it. Beach Buns offers several sandwiches and hot dog options with sides of chips and a brownie or cookie for dessert. This line went very slowly. While there were 4 crew members working, everything was being put together as the guest asked for it. So that took a while. There were no pre-made sandwiches because you could make substitutions or additions. And what I found slowed things down even more was that despite having waited in line for 10 minutes or more, people hadn't been looking at the menu, which is available both on the Hub app and posted on a huge sign on the back wall of the counter. What I saw happening was one person would order their sandwich, then while they're waiting for it to get made, the next person in line orders their hot dog and they say, I want chips and a brownie. Then the first person realizes, whoa, wait, we got brownies? And so then they say, hey, can you add a brownie to my order? Which caused more confusion for the crew than it probably should have, since they had yet to even hand out the sandwich. But it seemed to take forever for them to figure out that, oh, we need to add a brownie to this. Oh my gosh. We were on the 6th sailing, so I would have thought the process would have run a little bit smoother than it did, but it was definitely a combination of cruisers not knowing what they wanted and the crew not being prepared for these last-minute additions. Toss in a little bit of a language barrier, and it just really slowed things down. Now, I think this is a nice option, but I wasn't super impressed with the sandwich I got. I chose the number 2, which is a turkey sandwich with avocado and cucumber on a pretzel bun. Now, while these are all things I like, I don't think a pretzel bun is the best bun for anything with avocado on it, as it just is too firm of a bun, and the avocado gets squished out with every bite. Now, I don't like hot sandwiches, so that really limited the menu for me, because there was only 3 cold sandwiches. So would I go back? No. That line was just way too long and too slow for me to go in for a basic sandwich and some plain chips. Now, this was the second elegant night, so of course we got dolled up and headed to the MDR. It was super crowded in the Pacific restaurant, so they ended up taking us to the Atlantic restaurant instead. It was fun to see a different main dining room. I went for the calamari, as usual. I love a good calamari. This one was a little chewy for my preference, but it tasted really good. For my main, I got the crawfish fettuccine, which is a favorite of mine from this new Carnival menu. It's probably one of my favorite dishes on this menu. Unlike a lot of pasta dishes, this one is actually full of crawfish, so you aren't searching for that protein portion of the dish. Plus, the sauce is so good. Mom got the Caesar salad and the prime rib. We both went with the chocolate melting cake for dessert. There is one last day to discuss, but before we do, if you're finding value in this video, consider subscribing to the channel. Did you know that hitting that subscribe button doesn't cost you a thing? It really helps our channel out though, and it lets YouTube know that you like our content. Hit that notification bell so you will be notified when new videos drop so you don't miss any future posts. Our last day was another SeaDay, and this gave me another chance to hit up Guy's Burgers for lunch. I think I would feel like I missed out if I didn't have a Guy's at least twice on a cruise. I like how it was located on deck 17, which is a deck above the Lido on the Jubilee. This is a more out-of-the-way location than when it's just sitting on the Lido right next to the pool. It has its own seating, which then doesn't get filled up with people just hanging out because they want to be next to the Lido. We enjoyed one last dinner in the MDR that night. I had the frog legs for my appetizer. The frog legs were really good, a little oily, but still very flavorful. I also decided to try out Emerald Select's app of fried tomatoes. Now, the sauce had a lot of flavor here, and it was really good, but it would have been better if they had been fried green tomatoes, which would have given them more of a bite due to that acidity of the green tomato. I'm actually really surprised they weren't green tomatoes, and possibly they were supposed to be, and I don't know, they just ripened it up. I don't know. Mom had the beet salad for her app, which she said was good and tasted like beets. That to me is an oxymoron because I think beets taste like dirt, so I can't imagine that beets taste good, but to each his own. For my main, I went with the penne mariscos, which had shrimp, calamari, and mussels. All of the things that I love. and I enjoyed it, and the calamari wasn't too chewy this time. Mom went with the pork chop, which she said was a little dry but very tasty, and the sauce was very good. For dessert, I decided to try out the cheese plate. Now, I've never had it before, and I thought it would come with some grapes or strawberries as well as the cheese, but it was just cheese and this weird slice of bread that had jam on it. Now, I love cheese, but it would have been nice to have some crackers or some warm bread that didn't have jam on it. I mean, I know a lot of people love the cheese plate, but I'd like something to go with it, not just chunks of cheese. Mom decided to go with the baked Alaska because she'd never had it before. She said she really liked it, but it's ice cream and cake. What's not to like? Well, throughout the week, I also grabbed pizza a couple of times. Once was after my visit to ChiBang's, where I really didn't eat that much. I got the pepperoni, which was good, but the sauce seemed sweeter than usual. And later in the week, I got the quattroforma, and the sauce seemed fine. I really liked how they had the line set up when it was busy, with crew taking orders and serving us. If there was pizza available and it was unspoken for, they would go down the line asking if anybody wanted that kind of pizza, which helped reduce wait times for anyone who's willing to eat that kind of pizza. I also made sure to try out some of the street eats available on the Lido. These were only available from 2 to 5 p.m. and seemed to be designed as a midday snack, as the portions are really small. The Thyme fries offered gourmet fries. So one day I had the carne asada fries, which despite there being seasoning on the fries, I saw them do it. They lacked any real flavor. Only really the steak and mushrooms had flavor. I tried this Thyme fries out a second time when they had shrimp poutine fries, and those were really good and spicy. Steam Dreams had Asian steamed food. I tried out the spinach pot stickers once. They had sriracha sauce on them. That was super hot. The pot sticker itself was really good, but the heat overwhelmed the flavor for sure. Now, you could have asked to not have the sauce on it, but I wasn't aware of how hot it was going to be, so I didn't say anything. I just took it. Later in the week, I tried out some Shanghai pork dumplings that I really liked. I never tried out the third spot called the Mad Sizzle because there wasn't anything being served I was interested in when I stopped by. I do wish there were some silverware and napkins available nearby. They had napkins, but not silverware. And I ended up having to go over to the Blue Iguana to get some. Most of the food really wasn't finger food, so I don't know why they didn't have it available or if it was just a fluke, but neither time I was there were the silverware available. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to know what we had for drinks while we were on the Jubilee, you're going to want to stick around for this video, and then come back for more information designed to help you have an amazing cruise. Have a blessed week, everyone.